Hello everyone, and welcome back to Bandai Product and Figure Review, your one-stop for everything model and anime related. Keeping with the theme of this month, we are still going to be talking about more of the Gundam universe for the Gundam Wing and Gundam Wing Endless Waltz. And there are two particular ones we are going to be looking at, because I didn't actually get a chance to unbox either of these. So we're going to do a side-by-side as we do both at the same time in this episode. And the ones we're going to be looking at are none other than number 6 of the Gundam Universe action figure line, Gundam Death Scythe, as well as number 32 in the line, and this is going to be Gundam Death Scythe Hell from the Endless Waltz series. And as we can see from both of these box covers, these are really nicely well designed model kits, or action figures I should say. So this is the very first one from one of the lines that came out when this was starting. So that one was a little bit of a challenge to find in the beginning. And we also have one of the Endless Waltz versions. So I'm really hoping they do Heavy Arms Gundam with a Endless Waltz version. So let's roll opening and take a look at these wonderful mechs from both Gundam Wing and Endless Waltz. Alrighty, so this is going to be the side-by-side for the box, as well as going into each of its weapons. And so yeah, this is really nice. This is both by Tamashii Nation, which make very good action figure lines. So you're going to be seeing a lot of those particular figures on this channel, just because they are partnered with Bandai to produce a lot of really cool action figures and various other figures and model kits. So definitely look forward to more of these, and I definitely live by these for the quality. But these are the evolution from the original Gundam Wing series and Endless Waltz. So like I said, I really wish they would do a Heavy Arms Gundam for the double barrel blasters, because I have a hard time trying to find that particular type of model. So that would be a nice touch. But overall, the art depictions on these are beautiful, and again, this one's going to have a really cool iconic wing set. So let's actually flip these bad boys over for we can see what the back portions are. And so this is within number 4 and 5. So this is one of the fairly earlier sets, so this one might be a bit of a challenge trying to find, since this probably came out, this is wave 2. So yeah, this one's going to be a little bit more of a challenge to find, but overall the articulation is looking good, and it has the iconic scythe on here, making where the name Death Scythe comes in. So that is really looking nice. And now if we look at the Gundam Death Scythe Hell Endless Waltz, we see that it has the really cool dark Batwing style on here. So this is looking really nice, and it does still have the scythe in a different type of form. So this is going to look really nice. So we already looked at the Gundam Wings, so let's break these bad boys open and actually do a full comparison for the quality. So let's do a quick speed run build and get these together and see how well they actually look when fully assembled. So first we'll start off with the first one, Gundam Death Scythe. Just take a scalpel, and basically we're just going to make an incision, which this one already had. So we can just pop this open, slide that out, and I usually like to take a look at the instruction manuals before anything else, to give us an idea. So there's not going to be much for assembly with this. So we do have the scythe, his arms, and the little pegs that we can put him on a stand. So that's looking already nice. Overall, the packaging is still very nice. I like the detail on here with the backpack. We see the scythe here, and we see the shield and various other pieces. Especially, I love the energy beam effect here, and we have the staff right here. So that's already looking good for quality, as well as the amount of detail on here. So the color is nice. So let's actually take a look at the Hell Death Scythe, or Death Scythe Hell, real quick. So we do have the instruction. It looks like we do have some things to be careful of. There are a lot of points, so we do want to be careful with assembly. But yeah, it does show us how the wings actually fold together or connect. So that's pretty cool on how that is. So this looks like it's going to be a little bit easier. And then we have its iconic side beam, and yeah, we do have to be careful. There's a lot of little points. So as we can see here, it's looking really nice. The packaging is really well done. We can see all the weapons, the hands, and detail, and we also have the wings that are taped on here. So we can actually just take that off, and we can see the back portion, as well as the iconic dark bat wings that we see on here. So this is already looking like a really nice action figure. So now we are going to do kind of a so let's actually open these little bad boys up and do a comparison on the Gundam Death Scythe and Gundam Death Scythe Hell. Alrighty, so this is the Gundam Death Scythe, and this is actually pretty cool with the articulation, especially with the weapons. This is actually the part that I was really shocked about, where we actually have very good weapon posability. So as we can see with that, the Death Scythe can actually come out a little bit and swing in and out. So that, I really find that really nice. So that is an extra feature that I was not expecting. I thought it was just going to be really stiff and rigid. Again, articulation wise for the hands, they're on a little ball joint here, so they all are going to be roughly all that. So the articulation wise, we do have nice shoulder separation for at least articulation for the shoulders. The armor moves really well. The paint job is not bad, and the arms actually do move very, very nicely. As we can see, it does really nice for articulation, so we can do a lot of really cool dynamic poses with this. And this is actually the part that's really cool, is that this has a energy beam where this actually can close. As we saw earlier, this can actually just pop right off, close like that, and give us a nice little shield and stabber. And it actually does open up, and we can actually use a energy beam effect like that. So that is already looking pretty cool. That gives us an extra feature of play and posability with this. So again, this is where I like a lot of those. That gives me really cool weapon gimmick animations. Now continuing on, the head moves really well. It does feel fairly loose, but that's kind of to be expected. It gives me, at least of anything, it holds really well. So it does really well for at least posability. The waist, it does move side to side. It it does move forward and back a little bit, so it does give you a little bit of play for at least side for rotation. But it's not like on a full swivel like on some of the real grade model kits or high grades. So you are limited to how far you can twist this. Now moving to the shoulder plate, not shoulder plates, but the side armor. The fronts are pretty much somewhat in solid place. They do move up and down a little bit. Same with the side armors here. Moving on to the knees, this is where the armor really looks nice and chunky here, but the posability is really nice. It does do a nice 90-degree angle, and that goes for both, but it looks like gotta be kind of careful with how the armor pieces are, because if you go too far, you'll have a little bit of a snag, like right here. I'm noticing there's a little bit of a snag to bring that back, so you might have to kind of play with that a little bit to make sure it goes back into place. Same with the other side. And now moving to the foot, so it does articulate fairly well. It does have a lot of nice little details inside here, little gear mechanisms, kind of shows like the hydraulics and stuff, which is already looking nice. And the overall detail on this is looking phenomenal, and I love the backpack on here. It does kind of come off, but you also have spots here that you can actually put the Death Scythe here when it's in its deactivation form. So that is actually really cool. So that is this one. So let's move on to the Death Scythe Hell. And there we have it. That is the Gundam Death Scythe Hell. And this was really interesting, especially with the backpack wings. So we're actually just going to kind of take that off, just for we can actually take a look at the wings themselves. So these are really nice. I wish they could be a little bit more foldable, but they just slide in and out just like that. And yeah, it just slides right into the back. The detail wise on these are really nice. It's just got to be really careful. They do feel very flimsy, so if you are playing with them too much, they could snap. So just definitely be careful with all of these little points, because they could bend and snap. It does feel like it could, so just be more careful on where you put this to make sure nothing gets broken. That's the only main concern with this. It's a little bit more of a stiffer plastic, so it doesn't feel like how the angel wings were on the Endless Waltz. So yeah, that's where I'm a little more on the concern side, but they do feel solid, and I do like the rich color on here. So again, these bat wings are really, really nice. Now moving on to the actual mech portion. So this is where we have a lot of the nice armors, mobility. The head moves fairly well. Again, it's on a standard ball joint, so you have very good head range and mobility. For the arms, they do move fairly well in and out, so you have decent articulation there. The elbow moves fairly well, and the hands, they're mostly on a ball joint, so you'll most likely have a full 360 range. Just be careful not to overwear the hole that it goes into. Detail wise, I like the gauntlets on here, so it's molded really nicely on here, so you might be able to actually pop these off and on. I might explore that later, but overall it's looking really, really nice. The scythe itself is 2 pieces, and it just connects right into here, and it actually does look really nice. It has this nice metallic look to it, and as well with the energy scythe. So this is looking really nice. So articulation wise for that, it really helps, and you can actually do a lot of really cool poses with this. Now moving more into the sides, the side armor or the waist, it does tend to move forward and back a little bit, but unfortunately it doesn't have a lot, and you can hear that clicking noise, so it's very, very stiff. So just be careful when in play. The side armors, they move front up and down and a little bit with side to side, so that gives you fairly good articulation in play. Same with the front armor pieces. For the waist unit, they do move up and down, allowing for a greater range of motion and range for the leg joints, which move fairly well in and out. And speaking of that, let's talk about the leg. It does bend fairly well. Again, it does have the little points and stuff, so just do be careful about that. And yeah, it's just very good articulation overall. So you can do some really cool posing with this. The joints, they're fairly good for the joints, very good play. Same with the same amount of detail that they do, kind of giving us a cool hydraulic. And the toe with the spikes are actually a really nice touch. So, and the back portion actually does really nice. It looks fairly good. The back armor, it doesn't look like it moves very much. And to put the wings on, so there's just that little T hole there, and we have a little thing here, and that just slides right into the back. And there we have it. We have our Gundam Death Scythe. And there we have it, our two Death Scythe and Death Scythe Hell side by side with a really cool action pose, as you can see on the little turntable. The amount of detail on both of these action figures are phenomenal, and as you can see, the detail on these are definitely worth what you are actually paying for these, and these only run about $25, maybe $26, depending on where you are getting them. But these are, you are getting what you pay for with these action figures, and they are solid, very good with posability and play, and there is a ton of these, so there's going to be one that is going to pique your interest in this Gundam universe line. But this is the main ones for the Gundam Wing series, and we still have quite a few more of these Gundam Wings, but these were the two that had the beginning and final forms from the series. So we're probably going to be doing a little bit more different ones that only are standalones until they actually come out with the other ones. But overall, I highly recommend getting these. These are phenomenal in detail and color, and yeah, I definitely recommend getting these. Alright everyone, that's going to conclude this special with the Gundam Death Scythe and Death Scythe Hell from Endless Waltz. And this was a really fun project to do. We still have several more from Gundam Wing that we are going to be talking about in the later episodes. So definitely look forward to that. And if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. You guys are what's making this channel grow, and we are actually at 364 subscribers. So let's see if we can try to get that to 500, possibly by the end of the year. Is a nice little goal, so spread the word. And if you definitely leave comments down below, I do read those comments, and if you do have future suggestions, or if there's a particular thing you want to be seen done, please definitely leave those down. And I still have a ton of fun projects in the works for you guys with build tutorials, figure reviews, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So until then, I'll see you guys in the next episode, and look forward to more Gundam Wing Gundam Universe action figures.